You know that conversation, the one every family has sooner or later? Yeah, the one about paying for a really good education. It always starts with so much excitement, a fancy brochure, but it can end with a whole lot of stress and a loan application. So what is the real cost? And is there a smarter way to handle it all?
Just picture this for a second. A dad, super excited, is waving a coaching center brochure in the air. He's like, "Beta, look, 100% guarantee you'll get into IIT, and it's only 4 lakhs. But his kid? Well, they're sitting there, their mind racing, thinking, wait, that's more than my school fees and our car loan put together. This exact scene, it's happening in homes all over India, all thanks to the very powerful and very, very expensive IIT dream.
So what's the number you should actually be focused on? Forget the 4 lakhs on that brochure for a minute. It's this one right here, 15%. That is the real, hidden annual inflation rate for competitive education in India. Think about that. It's more than double the normal inflation we hear about on the news, and it's the one number that catches almost every family completely by surprise.
Okay, let's really get into the high cost of these dreams, because the whole money side of education has changed so much so fast that what our parents went through, honestly, it doesn't even apply anymore.
I mean, a lot of our parents will tell you they remember paying school fees of maybe 15,000 rupees for the whole year. And that was a lot back then. But today, in any major city, you'd be lucky to find a decent school for under 50,000. The gap is just huge. And honestly, school fees are just the warm-up.
Yeah, it gets way more intense with higher education. Just look at a top-tier IIMEJ MBA. Back in 2009, you were looking at about 5 lakhs. Fast forward to 2022, and that same degree skyrocketed to over 22 lakhs. That's an average inflation of 12.5% every single year. If you're not planning for that kind of insane growth, you are in for a serious financial shock when that bill shows up.
This chart right here pretty much explains the whole problem. You see, we're all used to thinking about inflation as that little bar on the left, around 6% for groceries and stuff. But the reality for education, it's that massive towering bar hitting 15%. And underestimating the difference between these two, well, that's probably the biggest financial mistake a family can make.
All right, I know. That all sounds pretty scary, but the story doesn't end there, I promise. We talked about the problem, now let's talk about the solution. What if I told you there are perfectly legal ways to beat this system, to actually fight back against that crazy 15% inflation?
Let me just ask you this straight up. What if you could basically cancel out that inflation? What if you could find ways to save at least 15% to literally chop down those eye-watering coaching and college fees? No, it's not a fantasy. It's just about being smart with your money.
So, how do we do it? I'm going to walk you through 3 simple, smart financial hacks. These are not complicated get-rich-quick schemes. They're just straightforward strategies that, seriously, anyone can use to claw back some of that money.
So here's our game plan. First up, we've got something I call the sibling hack. Then we're going to put up our tax shield. And finally, we'll dive into smart investing. Just 3 steps to make that huge financial mountain look a whole lot smaller.
Okay, let's start with hack number 1, the sibling hack. Your kid's gonna need a laptop for all that studying, right? Well, big brands like Apple and Samsung give student discounts, sometimes up to 10%. So if you have another kid in school or even a nephew or a cousin who's a student, just use their ID. It's that simple. Even airlines like Air Vistara do student fares. Why would you ever pay full price when there's a student ID just sitting in the family?
Moving on to hack number 2, the tax shield. This is all about making the tax laws work for you. So many people don't know this, but you can actually claim a deduction for your child's tuition fees under Section 80C, all the way up to 1.5 lakhs. And here's the big one. If you have an education loan, you can deduct the entire amount of interest you pay for 8 whole years under Section 80E. We're talking about a massive amount of savings here.
And now for our third and honestly most powerful hack, smart investing. This slide says it all, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got those child insurance plans that so many agents push. They sound safe, but the returns are just sad, like around 3.7%. That's not even going to cover one semester's inflation. But on the right, that's a simple, systematic investment plan, an SIP. With a smart SIP, you can actually beat that 15% inflation, grow your money for real, and here's the best part. You get to keep the profits, not some middleman.
So let's bring it all home. That dream of getting your child into a top college is a great thing. And with the right financial plan in place, it really doesn't have to turn into a nightmare of debt.
Which brings us to the single most important question you need to ask yourself right now.
Today, is your family's dream an actual plan with numbers and strategies behind it? Or is it still just a wish? Just something you're hoping for? The difference between those two is everything.
Look, I get it. The numbers we talked about today, that 15% inflation, the 22 lakh MBA, they can feel really overwhelming. But the point of this isn't to scare you, it's to prepare you. Because once you understand the hidden math behind it all, you can start using it to your advantage and make sure that your child's biggest dreams are built on a rock-solid financial foundation.